Good morning, Britain. Passport office workers walk out for 5 weeks from today amid a raging row over jobs, pay and pensions. It follows a weekend of chaos at the port of Dover as thousands tried to cross the channel. Yesterday, the Home Secretary insisted delays were nothing to do with Brexit, claims that have been rebutted by port officials who say extra processing time is a factor behind the disruption.
The service has been horrendous. We arrived at 2:30 in the morning. We couldn't get into the service station. When we got in there, there was no facilities for food. The sanitary facilities were awful. The toilets were terrible.
Transatlantic stalking. Love Island star Montana Brown says an Apple AirTag was used to stalk her on a recent trip to America. Much to her horror. She'll explain how she found out, how it happened, and what you can do to protect yourself.
Should people in manual jobs be allowed to retire earlier than university graduates in white-collar jobs? Well, that's a recommendation of an official report which says workers in physically demanding professions should be spared from a rising retirement age. Is that fair? Should lackeys and labourers be allowed to claim their pensions sooner? Let us know your thoughts. We're debating that after 7.
And it was a big night for Arlene last night. After being honoured for her illustrious stage career at the Olivier Awards, Dame Arlene Phillips is going to be joining us live in the studio. And she'll be talking about whether a return to the I'm a Celebrity jungle, although actually she was in the castle with me, is on the cards for her. And about bonding with the late Paul O'Grady over their shared love of animals.
And aside from a little bit of rain around midweek, it's good news for the first half of the school holidays. In fact, Easter weekend is looking largely dry and fine and on the mild side. All that and more coming up on Good Morning Britain.
Monday, 3rd of April, 2023. Live from Television Centre in London. This is Good Morning Britain with Kate Garraway and Richard Madeley.
Morning.
Good morning
Welcome
to you.
back.
Thank you very
You're
much.
right, you're all better now.
I've been a bit poorly, yes. I have been a bit poorly.
Can I say what you had?
You can say what I had.
She was strawberry tongue, which sounds a little bit like a sort of a role you might play in a certain kind of film. But no, you had a strep throat, didn't you?
I had a strep throat, completely lost my voice, which Lorraine, who I'm sure we'll be chatting to later, will know all about. I think I'd ploughed on, basically, rather like she did, and straightened my voice. And then I had something called strawberry tongue, which basically your tongue swells up. So and Ben Shepherd texted me saying, what's this about you not being in tomorrow? So I thought the only thing I can do is ring him to prove that I'm not, you know,
well, I'm not
swinging the lead.
show...
And he just couldn't stop laughing.
Well,
so there was zero sympathy.
I had said to him, Kate's not very well, I hope everything's OK. And then he'd messaged to say, I've just spoken to her. It was frankly hilarious. So I was like, you're not getting much sympathy from Ben, are you?
No, exactly.
Well, I'm not suggesting that you show the viewers what you showed me earlier, which is a photograph on your phone of the said strawberry tongue.
Yeah,
but it is pretty horrible.
Horrid. If you've ever experienced strawberry tongue, you'll know what I'm talking about. The thing is, it just made me sound like I had a really bad lisp. And as I got a lisp anyway, it was like I was sort of pantomiming myself. So nobody took it seriously, but I'm back now. I've got voice.
You look and sound great.
Others that have been finding themselves hidebound by different things are holiday makers, and they could be facing more trouble chaos. The passport office workers have begun a 5-week strike, an increasingly bitter dispute over pay and conditions. The Home Office says passport applications have already spiked ahead of the industrial action.
Kind of a perfect storm, isn't it? Because, of course, in Dover, coaches that were forced to queue throughout the weekend, many of them overnight last night, have finally made it to the port itself, but they're still facing possible delays as customs officials carry out these really strict post-Brexit border checks. We'll be talking about them in a few minutes. Juliet Dunlop is at the passport office in Glasgow, where workers are going to be forming a picket line this morning that could last until May. But first, we're going to talk to Nick Dixon, who's at the port of Dover. What's the situation there now, Nick? I mean, we're hearing that it might have eased a bit. Is that true?